Let's talk about secrets. It's human nature to want to know what we can't know, to have what we can't have. The most alluring things in life are often those that are unattainable. These are the most secret places in the world, off limits to almost everyone. And when you tell us we can't go inside or photograph or even know what's happening in these places, well, we need to know why. Today we're talking about the most secret places in the world, and the mysterious theories that surround them are different. You can't visit any of these without special access, and no one really knows what's happening inside. And when you don't give the public information about something, we'll fill in the blanks. You can't do a list of secret locations without this one. Area 51 has been a perennial American obsession for more than 50 years. It's been the backdrop for countless movies, books, TV shows, and YouTube videos. In 2019, this well-known but little understood location basically broke the internet when some crazy person got millions of people to RSVP yes to trespassing on Area 51. We did not. Area 51 is located in Rachel, Nevada, about 80 miles northwest of Las Vegas, and is a remote detachment of Edwards Air Force Base. It's so highly classified that the military disputed it even existed for years. The Air Force finally acknowledged Area 51 as real in 2013, but nobody really knows what's happening in there. Built in 1955 as part of the Nevada Test and Training Range Complex, it was initially constructed by contractor Lockheed Martin as a test facility for the U-2 spy plane. Now, although it's never been declared top secret, the area is highly protected and deadly force is authorized against trespassers. Well, the official statement is, for operational security reasons, we do not provide detailed information regarding what takes place in the facility. The most widely circulated theory is that Area 51 houses an alien spacecraft that crashed in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. Along with the bodies of the pilots, the Air Force said the UFO was a weather balloon. Area 51 operated in secret for decades until 1989, when Bob Lazar, who claimed he worked there, gave a public interview where he said that the military reverse-engineered alien spacecraft and utilized that technology in American military and space programs. And think about how quickly technology advanced in the second half of the 20th century. Look at it this way. 20 years before Roswell, 1927, Charles Lindbergh flew across the Atlantic Ocean in the Spirit of St. Louis, a single-engine, single-seat aircraft, and that was a huge deal. He became an international star. That's 20 years before Roswell. Well, about 20 years after Roswell, we were launching satellites into orbit and landing people on the moon. The airplane was just invented about 20 years before Lindbergh. So there are huge leaps forward in technology in a relatively short period. We have no evidence, but it's clear that technology advancements started accelerating in the 50s and 60s because of something. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. Did these technological leaps come from reverse engineering alien spacecraft? Or was it something else? Menwith Hill is a Royal Air Force station in North Yorkshire, England, which was built to provide communications and intelligence support services to the UK and the US. Now, even though this is a Royal Air Force station, in the 60s, operational control was transferred to the National Security Agency of the United States, who then created the largest electronic monitoring station in the world. Echelon is a surveillance program operated by the US, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and the UK, also known as the Five Eyes. So the Five Eyes and spies developed Echelon into a global system for the interception of private communications. And we're talking mass surveillance of high-threat individuals and corporations via industrial espionage. Echelon is now a global network of electronic spy stations that can eavesdrop on landlines, cell phones, fax machines, computers. It can even track bank accounts. And all that data is stored in Echelon computers, which can keep millions of records on millions of individuals, companies, even countries. Barton Gellman, a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist for The Washington Post, summarized the leaks as follows. Secret legal authorities empowered the NSA to sweep in the telephone, internet, and location records of whole populations. There are reports that every text message and phone call in the world flows through Echelon and then is then added to the files of the sender and the receiver and stored for later analysis. And officially, this project doesn't even exist, so nothing to see here. Built in 1958, Mount Weather serves as the operations center for the Federal Emergency Management Agency, aka FEMA. It's part of the United States' Continuity of Government Plan, and it's a relocation site for the highest level of civilian and government personnel. This is a 564-acre, high-security federal government facility along the Loudoun-Clark County border in Virginia. Built during the Cold War as a relocation site, the facility consists of two parts: the above-ground FEMA complex and a 600,000 square foot underground facility. Reportedly, it's a fully self-contained city with its own leaders, its own police and fire departments, even its own set of laws. This underground bunker has a hospital, dining and recreation areas, sleeping quarters, a self-contained water system, emergency power plant, even a radio and television studio, which is part of the emergency broadcasting system. Now, people are said to be able to survive down here in isolation for years without ever leaving the compounds. Weather has been designed to survive conventional, chemical, biological, even nuclear attacks. Even though it's been operated and maintained for over 60 years, very little is known about Mount Weather. The general public first learned about it in 1974 when TWA Flight 514 crashed nearby. And up until then, most federal officials didn't even know it existed. Mount Weather was briefly activated by federal agents on April 7, 2015, after a major power outage hit Washington, D.C. It was also used during the 9/11 attacks when the entire congressional leadership was transported there by helicopter. Nobody really knows who's on the Mount Weather list, but it's a pretty exclusive list. Yamantau, along with Kavinsky Mountain, are claimed by the U.S. as being secret nuclear facilities with underground bunkers, because large excavation projects have been observed by satellites. Several military garrisons were built on the site and then merged into the closed town of Medjugorje. Well, a closed town is a residential area where travel is restricted in and out. Well, estimates are there are 30,000 military and another 30,000 non-military personnel, but nobody really knows because people haven't been able to enter or leave for over 20 years. Well, countries in the West have been asking Russia for years what's going on in there, and the story keeps changing. The global seed vault. Ooh, deep in an icy mountain above the Arctic Circle, between Norway and the North Pole, lies a resource of vital importance for the future of civilization. It's not coal, oil, or precious minerals, but seeds. Millions of seeds, from more than 900,000 varieties of food crops, are stored in the global seed vault on Spitsbergen, part of Norway's Svalbard archipelago. The seed vault is basically a huge safety deposit box to protect against loss during large-scale regional or global crises. The seed bank is 120 meters inside a sandstone mountain and employs seriously advanced security systems. Seeds are packaged in these special foil packets that allow them to last basically forever. The facility is managed by the Nordic Genetic Resource Center, but they only open the vault to make deposits. There are no permanent staff on site. Now, Spitsbergen was considered ideal because it lacks tectonic activity, has permafrost, and it's 130 meters above sea level, which keeps the site dry even if the ice caps melt. Also, Norway typically tries to stay out of military conflicts. While the press has emphasized its use in the event of a major global catastrophe, the seed vault will be more frequently accessed when gene banks lose samples due to mismanagement, accidents, equipment failures, funding cuts, or natural disasters. And these events are actually pretty common. War and civil strife have a history of destroying seed banks. For example, the National Seed Bank of the Philippines was damaged by flooding and then later destroyed by a fire. And the seed banks of Afghanistan, Syria, and Iraq have all been lost completely. Thanks to the global seed vault, many of those seeds were recovered. 53 miles of shelving, 35,000 volumes, millions of pages going back 1,200 years. Housed in one of the most iconic bastions of religion and culture, the Vatican's apostolic archives are the stuff of historical legend and Dan Brown books. But they're absolutely real. The archive's indexes are not public, and they're only accessible to very few scholars, and then only after the deposits have been stored for at least 75 years. And they're housed in a fortress inside the Vatican. Notable documents include Henry VIII's request for a marriage annulment, handwritten transcript of the trial of Galileo, and letters from Michelangelo complaining he hadn't been paid for his work on the Sistine Chapel. The secretive nature of the Catholic Church and the potential information within have fueled years of wild speculation about what's inside. And there are tons of crazy conspiracy theories about what's in the archives. Many conspiracy theorists believe the archives show the Vatican is hiding proof that Jesus didn't exist. Another theory says the Vatican has evidence of extraterrestrials and that the Pope is conspiring with aliens to implant us with computer chips. There's also this great theory about a device. I have to say it slowly. It's called the chronovisor. The chronovisor is a machine that allows the operator to view past and future events, and it was designed by an Italian priest and scientist who is trying to prove evidence of the crucifixion. And the archives are said to contain the 3 secrets of Fatima, which is a series of visions and prophecies that predict the end of the world. And, of course, some people believe the archives are controlled by the Illuminati, which the Vatican is a founding member. A conspiracy theory that turned out to be true is that the Vatican archives contained a document that absolved the Knights Templar of crimes against the Church. In 2001, the Chinon parchment was discovered in the archives, and the parchment is dated August 1308 as Chinon, France, and contains interrogations, confessions, and absolutions of the knights. When the Chinon parchment was made public in 2007, it confirmed the legacy of the Knights Templar by proving that Pope Clement V actually absolved the group of heresy in 1308. It's a fascinating document that reads like a Law and Order episode. Room 39. Room 39, also called Bureau 39 and Office 39, is officially known as the Central Committee Bureau 39 of the Workers' Party of Korea, and it's a secretive North Korean party organization that seeks to bring in foreign currency to party leadership. The organization is estimated to bring in $1 billion a year or more and may be involved in activities such as counterfeiting $100 bills, producing meth, heroin, and committing international insurance fraud for big bucks. Office 39 was set up in the 1970s by the founding father of North Korea, Kim Il-sung, as a kind of royal slush fund. It takes its name from the office it occupies inside the Workers' Party building in the capital Pyongyang, not far from the official residence of the party leader. Much of what we know about Room 39 comes from a defector that ABC interviewed in 2018. He said he spent 5 years working as an agent in the Daesung Group, an umbrella corporation that smuggled ginseng, gemstones, and gold into China so it could be sold on the international markets as Chinese gold. Apparently, evading United Nations sanctions was easy, and China played a central part. It just changed company names and had branches in different countries. But we don't know much about the internal operations of Room 39 because the defector is afraid of assassination attempts on himself and his family. But there are plenty more shady details. Joe?